Uncle Ron and stuff. Uh, episode 10, part 11. And it's uh, approaching 1:30 a.m. on Sunday. And I tried to go to bed, and I was antsy. I don't know if everybody knows what antsy feels like, but kind of jittery. You drink too much coffee, you get antsy. I don't think I did that today. It was just probably too much I tried to do today in too many different fields. But nonetheless, here I am late at night, and continuation of thoughts on thoughts and dreams. Dreams are interesting. We go to sleep, and a lot of stimulus gets turned off, and we go into some strange mind state, and sometimes we don't dream at all, and other times we can have some really interesting and crazy and maybe dreams that show us stuff about us or our interactions with the world. And I thought I would spew out some of the dreams I've had over the years, and maybe you could get an idea. I don't know. A dream analysis is a aspect of psychotherapy, I think. You tell them about people all about your dreams, and they analyze them and say this and that's what it means. I always thought that the sum total of a dream is what sort of emotion was it evoking? When you woke up, what did you remember the emotion of the dream? Sometimes it didn't have any. Maybe it was amazement. Maybe it was fear. What was the overriding emotion of the dream? Not necessarily the details, but I had a dream once. I had gone to a party and come home. And at that time, the upholstery in my front seat of my car was not so good, so I had bought a sheepskin. You could buy them and use them as seat covers. And I had one of those on my old car. And when I came in the house that night, I brought it with me. I don't know, just grabbed it. I do things like that. I don't know the causality of it. And I don't worry about it. It's just, I'll take it in with me. When I got into bed, I used the sheep skin as my blanket and laid my head on the pillow. And I sort of immediately woke up being a shepherd, a sheep shepherd out in the mountains someplace, uh, alone. And because that's what sheep shepherds did, and it was mainly left to boys, I believe. And they, tended the flock, protected the flock. Anyway, I really got off on that. I could visualize it. I can imagine it. It was a little on the scary side. I was alone, but uh, what emotion did I get out of it in the end? It was ancient. That's what I got out of that one. It was something ancient. I don't know what people think about past lives and so on. The whole karmic idea that when you die, if you haven't gotten your karma clean, I don't know other ways of phrasing it, you're going to be reborn, and you can apparently be reborn in various animal species or even other things. I don't know. I don't think it's limited just to human or living things, but you get reborn and you're going to be confronted with the same sort of issues that you were unable to properly resolve in the life you just had. So they present themselves back again and you have to work through it again. Hopefully, you come up with a better answer, and you get that part cleaned out of your karmic. And so, you know, anyway, the sheepskin and ancient, I could feel myself having done that. I wasn't one time a sheep herder in some faraway land, and again, it wasn't particularly scary. It's just what I did. Had my head laying on a rock, back in those time periods, out under a sheepskin. Um, Had another real interesting dream um, where I was above the earth, quite a ways above the earth, looking down on it, and down below in concentric orbits, circles, where where were me going around at various ages of my life, and I could see them all. They were when I was a little kid. There was a circle that was going around, and things were happening on that timeline, if you will, that life circle of chunk of my life. And then there must have been hundreds of them, and I was just in awe and amazement to be able to see all those different time periods of my life and some sort of orbital mechanics around, I guess, the core, which was me. The overall emotional feeling was that was really great. I appreciated wherever that came from. That's not a view that most people get. I had a similar dream like that where I was painted, and I scraped a little paint off. I could find another layer or another age of me, if you will. As you get older, like buildings and stuff, they get paint put on them, and then 10, 15 years later, they get another coat of paint put on them, and then, this goes on and on and on. So, my age, I got a lot of layers of paint. And in this particular dream, the paint layers got stripped away. I could see each layer, and it kind of freaked me out. Farther I pulled the layers off, the more I could see. And, I was younger in each layer and what I had done and not done. And another interesting dream, a little scary on that one. I don't know if I had impending anything. Another dream, out in the bush. And I don't remember why I was there. I was like in India. And out of nowhere come a full-grown Bengal tiger. And he jumped me. And I remember very clearly thinking, I'm not going to get out of this one. I am not going to survive this one. It was one of the first times, that mortality sort of you face it straight in, because the tiger weighed 250 pounds or something, and all muscle and all teeth and claws. And he had got me, clawed me, had claws around the back, and I was fighting him off with my arms and so on. But I very clearly had, I'm not getting out of this one. This is this is the end. And it did occur to me, out of the blue, punch his eyes out. Take my thumbs and stick them up in his eyes and squish his eyes out. And I had this really stupid, I was like, I don't want to do that. I mean, that's gross. Yeah. But, yeah, it seemed like the only answer. The other thing was I kicked him in the balls a few times, but that didn't help. So I had to stick my thumbs in his eyes and blind him, and that let me go. So just if you ever get in that situation where a tiger's got you or a lion's got you or something, don't be squeamish about squishing his eyes out. You know, I don't know what that one was about. Dreams. Always have a lot of had over the years, a lot of flying dreams where I'm above the ground and just hovering up there, drifting. Um, and it's just it's just peaceful and you know I don't know. I really liked it. I'm not thinking of anything. I'm just enjoying the uh, just floating, just floating. That's what it was. And I think I've repeated it in another episode that as soon as a thought entered my mind because I'd been empty-headed all this floating period. And when a thought entered my mind, like, well, how am I doing this? I immediately just floated right down to the ground, and then down there and going, oh no, well, how do I get back up? What do I have to say? What do I have to do, to get back up there? And of course, it never worked. And I had those quite often for a long time, and those were ones of amazement and joy, and I appreciated the fact that I got that dream. Um, I've had dreams where I was right in the center of this southwest uh, town, Texas town, and right in the middle of the town. It was one typical small Texas town with just one-story buildings on each side, but right in the center of town, there were all these railroad tracks came through, and they were through like on a dial. They were like every minute on a dial. There were like 60 railroads that all converged had one spot where they all had to cross the same little section of track. And for some reason, I was right there in that mess. And every time I turned around, there was another train whizzing by, and then another one, and another one. It was like I was trying to dodge all these train bullets, and it was uh, it was overwhelming. And maybe that was the emotion I felt when I woke up was overwhelmed, too much stuff coming at me at the same time. And that sort of made sense. Man, it's pretty straightforward, I guess, analysis of, what that dream was. um, all kinds of other dreams over the years. I've had dreams about, being with friends that have passed away. Those I always enjoy. It's interesting. Sometimes they speak, sometimes they don't, but I'm there and we do things, and it's nice to spend time with a loved one who has passed away. Um, that was again an appreciation sort of dream. I also have nightmares sometimes, and nightmare. My father was plagued with those, and a nightmare is there was a couple where when I was a kid, 3, 4 years old. That's the way I remember it. And I might have been a little older, but 5 maybe. I don't know. I had reoccurring dreams, and that's a thing. You ever have reoccurring dreams, the same dream over and over and over again? That's obviously trying to tell you something coming out of somewhere. And but this dream was I was being chased by a pack of wolves. I was prey, and they were right on my heels. I was running and terrified, and these wolves, and just as they were about to get me, right just there to pile on the whole pack, I would wake up. Well, I would be afraid to go back to sleep because I had wolf after me dreams. Okay, so after a while, I developed this technique. I don't know, pretty good for a 4 or 5 year old child, I think, anyway. But I would pretend that I had a zipper up here on my head, or it was a zipper, and I'd unzip it, and pull it back, and then I would get this great big spoon and I would stick it down in there and stir around till I found the wolves, and I scooped the wolves up and I pitched them out. I don't want them in there anymore. And zipped it back up, and they were gone. At 4 or 5 to develop a technique like that, this is a brag, I guess, but uh, it worked. I don't know if it works for anybody else, but if you have, a really bad dream, just unzip and take it out of there. It's a symbolic sort of thing, but if it works, and why not? Um, Nightmare, that would qualify as a nightmare. Uh, Sometimes I have nightmare about my wife, and she's doing something I don't like, or doing something or other, and I get angry at her in the dream, and I really don't normally get angry at her in the everyday reality, and I'm never sure what that's about. Uh, Repressed anger, I don't know. Somebody would probably say that. I don't feel that way, but nonetheless, I have those. um, I've had dreams that aren't mine, and you're saying, "Well, how can that be?" And I tell you, I don't know. But I'm in this dream, and I'm there as an observer, and things are going on. It's like watching a play, but really strong feeling. This is not my dream, you know. This is really not my dream. Somebody has sent me a dream, shared me a dream. And in the literature, I think if you look it up, you can find that other people have reported that they've had dreams that aren't theirs. That's a strange concept, and I have no idea how that works. I didn't know there was any meaning, real meaning to it. Um, I wasn't really sure who sent the dream. The people in the dream, I don't think I knew, but it just wasn't me. It was in a situation that, no, wasn't me. Had a dream where I was definitely on another planet, definitely light years away on another planet in a strange building, and it was all sort of a creepy. It didn't feel very good. It was the whatever lived there. I'm not sure I ever saw any of them, but they creeped me out. It was a creepy sort of wasn't scary. It just was. What is this? This is weird. Um, that was light years from here, someplace. Uh, Again, you end up with amazement, and I'm thankful for the dream. But other than that, I don't know that I got anything particularly out of it. But a blessing of a dream. Not all dreams are blessings for sure, or joys. uh, Dreams, nightmares. Uh, there are tribes, at least I think I've read that there are tribes in the world that in the morning when everybody gets up and they have a communal breakfast, it is a tradition, a rite that everybody talks about the dreams they had the night before. And I always thought that was a good idea. I think I may have encouraged it when our children, the children that grew up with us, were little. You remember anything about your dreams? Did you have a dream last night? And we would, mainly just listen to what the dream was about. And I don't know if we offered any particular critique or anything, but just sharing of the dreams, you know. uh, Dream of being in a bomber, a bomber that was carrying atomic weapons, and on a long, very long distance flight. And I would go. I laid back down in the bunk that was there. You fly the plane for so many hours because it's a really long flight from like I don't know the middle of country to Moscow nonstop. You know, so you have to get some sleep somewhere in line. And at some point in time, I'd been delegated to fly the final part of the mission, which was to include the dropping of the bomb. And so I had gone back into a small uh, sleep cabin and pulled the curtain and tried to lay down and sleep. And all I could think about was my own children and own family, and you know, what I'm about to do, and really conflicted. You know, trained for all this. I knew it's for my country. Blah 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 blah. But I think I was fairly convinced I was going to be able to do it when we got there. But lucky for me, I bailed out. I parachuted out of the plane or something. I didn't have to get to the bomb release point. Um, but as a confession, I probably would have done it, follow the rules, trained, um, save America, that kind of stuff. But more than once of those sorts of in a weapon of lethal destruction, and I'm a part of it in some way. Uh, there's been all kinds of dreams over the years. Uh, I'm sure you have. I used to write them down if they were really good. I don't. I want to remember this one. I want to write this one down, and I would write it down and then think about it in the morning. And you know, then I head broke, and I started taking sleeping pills, and really, 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 really liked them because it was pitch black. I would go to sleep, and it was no activity going on inside here all night. No dreams, nothing. I'd wake up in the morning. I had not had a dream. It was the most blissful, peaceful, quiet uh, sleep that you could have, and that lasted for a long time. And then I guess I got what's the word? Uh, I built up a tolerance to the amount of sleep medication I was taking, and dreams have come back. I think they only appear at the end of the sleep cycle. The first part of the sleep cycle has no dreams in it, but then as the sun breaks over the horizon and I start breaking consciousness, then I will go into some sort of dream or not. And I don't know when dream. I know something about REM sleep, all the cycles of sleep that you normally go through. Um, but for me, the dreams are always close to the end of the sleep cycle. Um, I have learned how to bail out of dreams. I'm in some dream and I don't like it and I don't want to be there anymore. I can wake myself up. I just bail out. I assume everybody can do that. I don't know if that's true or not, but you ought to give yourself that courtesy, that give yourself that mechanism. I don't know how you learn it. I don't know. It's like a switch for me. Nope, not going any farther. Wake up. Uh, Out of sleep right into consciousness or awakeness. My old mentor in college, he had big interest in sleep and in dreams. Uh, Unknown, crazy aspect of humans. Certainly clear to me while watching the dogs, or a dog sleep or a cat sleep. They're having dreams. I see their legs moving, they're running, and they're doing things. So it's inherent, I guess, in various species with some sort of enough tangled brain mass and memories and so on. I don't really know what the dream's purpose is. You would think with very little stimulation, you know, not visual, you have some auditory, but how they trigger, what causes them to fire off, it seems like a mystery. I guess I'm based on the stimulation-based, memory-based idea of the brain So if you take away the stimulation, there shouldn't be a whole lot of activity. Now, I read one time that sleep was required for the brain to, I don't know, do what it, to maybe um, rest, let the chemicals build back up on the various firing synapses, junctions, pathways. Let those things rest, cool off. The chemicals move around and back to home base, or the electrons that are involved, you know, they latch on to something for a while and are not moving. That it would be a time of rest. I know if I go too long without sleep, it's a bad thing. For sure, sleep is a necessary thing. The long bomber pilot dream I was telling you about, uh, amphetamines are required for those pilots to accomplish a 25 or 28-hour mission. They're conscious or awake most of that time, and they have to be pretty much on point to be able to deal with whatever they got to deal with. And they're flying a plane, it's not an easy task. Um, I don't know what sort of dreams you've ever had, especially the ones that may be from somebody else. They don't happen too often. I've had some really funny and interesting dreams where two ladies I know, or used to know, they came and did this little dance for me, and it was funny and it was sexual and it was and I was like, that's really great. Thanks, ladies. It was a play, a show put on for me, and I really enjoyed it. I've had dreams where I got a problem, and one of the worst dreams that I can have is I'm given a task of adding up numbers, and uh, it's 5 columns, and it's like 20 numbers long, and it's like, the first column is 50 and 14, 11, 17, 19, 53, 1, 6, 4, 7, 9, 4. Then the next column is something similar, 1,000, 42, 99, 53. And the next column. And I'm supposed to add this up in my head, and so with struggle I can get through the first column. And then I gotta, you got a result there, and then you gotta carry whatever it's called. I want to call it the remainder, but that's not right. You carry over the excess to the next column, and then you got to add that up, and you got to carry whatever's left over to the next column. Well, I always lose place in here. Lose. Okay, I can't remember what the results was for the third column or the second column. Now I got to start out over. It's like that guy that, whatever his name was, that had to push that rock up that hill for eternity. He would almost get it to the top of the hill, and then it would roll back down again. And then he had to try to push it back up the hill again, and it would roll down again. It was, I guess, a frustration dream. Maybe emotions are more prevalent in dreams. Maybe it's a place where emotions are more common. And again, when you wake up, what was the emotion that you felt, or what was the overriding thing? Um, Lost my car keys, can't find them. Whole dream, where are they? Go? Searching around, frustration. You know, that's probably just a small thumbnail of what I'm currently experiencing in my current reality. I don't know. I've heard of, like, amputees will dream of walking, or they'll dream they can feel their legs or arms or whatever is gone. And that has to be, I don't know what kind of dream that would be. Scary. Uh, I, I don't want that one. Dreams, uh, dreams, and more dreams. Um, I was going to also talk about this whole thoughts on thought things was about pattern recognition and how the mind and how the brain is taught to recognize patterns. Um, Earlier, I keep using the word stereotypes, and that's another, maybe patterns and stereotypes are the same thing. Not really, but they share some of the same attributes. They could fall into the same. If you had a periodic table or something that included things that are like each other in some way but different in others, uh, that would qualify. I think the stereotyping and the pattern recognition. And pattern recognition is interesting. Uh, you see the same sort of repeating pattern. I see it a lot in politics. We have the same repeating pattern. Politicians promising this or promising that. And it's the same old stuff I've heard all my adult life. The same trite, impossible slogans and catchphrases and sound bites. Um, and I guess it works because they get elected. But nonetheless, I can see a pattern there, and the pattern doesn't impress me. It's like, it's just the same old thing, pattern. History is full of patterns. If you look at them, um, we repeat. We don't seem to learn from history very well. Repeat. Lessons learned from Vietnam. After Vietnam, there was supposed to have been a ton of lessons that the Department of Defense learned. Not politicians, they didn't learn anything. But Department of Defense was supposed to have learned a lot of lessons, and that was, various boiled that experience down into patterns, stereotypes, strategies, all those sorts of things. They saw patterns develop, that were successful or not successful, and how the soldiers responded to this or that, or, it was there. The human neural net memory based thing can certainly detect patterns and uh, build up memories associated with those patterns that can be useful. And I think everything in the end is memory stored in memories and this upper level processing of the wave fronts that all these neural firings cause this firestorm that goes across. That up above that some analysis, wave analysis of, well, the summation of all the chemical released in that transmissions results in this, or triggers a memory up there that says, well, geez, this is very similar to what happened before, and this is what we did, and it didn't turn out well. Maybe we should try something else. That whole thing, patterns, stereotypes, um, dreams. Uh, I've rambled on too much, and I really need to go to bed, but I thought I would throw one out here. I've got my cell phone light illuminating my face tonight. Uh, it's interesting. I noticed I've been reviewing some of my posts, and some days I'm not. I'm not really on. I can tell. I'm all jagged and whacked out. I don't have coherent. My memories are not immediately available to me, and words aren't immediately available, and concepts into words are not immediately available. And I forget things and I make mistakes. I know I said something in a recent episode about 2020 years from the birth of Christ, and that the word emotion had first appeared in English language in the year 1800, and then later on I repeated 1088. I got it, flipped it around, and then I said, well, it's been 200 years. It's only been 200 years since the word emotion was even in the English language, or identified as something to do with humans. Human species have emotions. And then I said, well, 100 years. So some days I'm not on, and I'll end this with a cautionary disclaimer again. Uh, Anybody who knows me to any degree, they know not to believe a word I say. Take it with a grain of salt. Uh, Kurt Vonnegut, one of his books, I always like Kurt Vonnegut. He learned that when he had written something in a book, it had been published, and he was in a bar or something one night, and he stumbles into this guy that's playing piano. He's talking to him, and the guy said, I really love your books, and it's finally gotten me off the dime. I've decided to do this or that. And Vonnegut says, what? What? What was that? And the guy explained it to him, and Vonnegut said, but I didn't mean that. How could you read that out of that sentence? And it made me aware that whatever I say or do is going to be, I have no control over how others are going to perceive it or understand it. And I could be saying things that evoke something in you that would be not be good for you or me or other people. And so, in all cases, whatever I say, think about it for sure. But don't make it. I'm not putting gospel out there. I'm not putting 100% truth out there. I'm just rambling and kicking around things that I don't hear a lot of talk about. Yeah, maybe I should go to like Harvard and study psychology. And then I'm sure I'd get a lot of this and a lot more, and I would be get a big old dose of humility again because I know so little about the whole thing. And you know, physics is, I really like physics because you build up these basic constructs and principles, and they prove to be true by experimentation and observation. And then from that realm of information, you can piggyback it onto something else, which just helps you explain something else. And you have equations all through it, and they all play together in a fairly nice way. And it is provable by observation. Now, when it comes to thoughts on thoughts and how the neural patterns fire and memory based and higher level wavefront analysis and the mystical and dreams and patterns and stereotypes and all these sorts of things, it's all really sort of conjecture. No equations. I can't write any equations down for these things. I can't build any sort of physical structure that mirrors it. So you gotta just, I'm just trying to poke. It's like poke you in the eye and say, hey, uh, and maybe most people, this is like, I'm sure there are people maybe watching this stuff saying, he's a novice, he's naive, he doesn't know, I mean, he's a ground zero, another 50, 100 years, he might actually know what he's talking about. And I'll agree with that. I do. I agree with that. I don't have any claim to fame that I know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm just trying to ask questions. I, Finally, mentor in college, and I really always imitate the best and the rest to memorize, and I imitated him in that sense that he said, why would I ever ask a question that I knew the answer to? Now, I've had a rebuttal on that from a very famous professor who said that I do it all the time, and often I find out that when what I thought was the correct answer wasn't. That's valid too. That's certainly valid. But what I like doing is asking questions I don't know the answer to, hoping somebody else will give me some, maybe just one more Tinker Toy or one more Lego that helps build something that lets me see just a little farther. Can't you try just a little bit harder? Can't you try just a little bit more? I don't know. It's now 2 o'clock a.m. on the East Coast on the Sunday. I can't see, so I'm going to come way down here. The 6th of January, 2023. And now I'm going to take another sleepy pill and try to go to sleep and maybe even sleep till 8 or 9 o'clock. That would be really good. The weather's supposed to be rainy tomorrow, so I don't plan on doing any outside work. That's fine with me. My knees need to rest, and I don't know. Entertainment. Let's see. I can't even do the bird, shadows. Anybody ever do the bird? The shadows on the wall behind you that back here. I've forgotten how to do those. I can still do. Nope, can't even do arm farts anymore. Um, I'd like to suggest that I think if we're woke now, and we're woke, I would like to suggest that it is a derogatory term to use chrome dome. It's hurtful. What could I do about it? It's like, okay, black man born black. Well, he couldn't do anything about it. I mean, he's not going to bleach himself. Well, what can I do about this? I mean, why be teased about it? Why be stereotyped? Well, he's just an old chrome dome dude, or when I was little, I got 4 eyes all the time. You had to wear glasses, so I was 4 eyes. Well, it's like bullying and all that kind of stuff. I want to, yeah, and the only people you can make fun of anymore is old white men. They're free game. Can't talk about women or their figure sizes or their hair. You can't make any sort of, well, you look really pretty today. Oh, sexual harassment, sexual harassment. You can't do that. But for old white guys, they're creepy. And you can say and make fun of them all you want. It's okay. But I like to lobby that we have feelings too. I used to say, just remember that cheerleaders have feelings too. Cheerleaders used to catch a lot of crap. They were pretty and often they were smart and they got to fuck the football, the captain of the team, and all that kind of stuff. And they were the super duper group in high schools and other places. But they were humans too. They suffered and felt lonely at times, and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I would appreciate if we could eliminate Chrome Dome. Just write that word out of the dictionaries. Like elimination of other words we're doing right now. I really appreciate if that would happen. Or 4 eyes, or creepy old man. These are all hurtful things. I appreciate the fact that our society is now allowing a much more lenient view of fat people. I'm a fatty person. So we got, at least that's what everybody says. I don't really believe it's true. I'm, I'm sorry, I'm programmed. I find slimmer women more attractive than heavier set women. Now, I'm sure other people feel a different way. It may be based on race or ethnicity or whatever it is. I'm sure I'm just programmed. I grew up where every model on TV was thin and 36, 22, 35, I don't know, some perfect shape. And so that got imprinted, and that's That's the image, the gold standard for women. And now I want to see heavy dressed women, even if they're trying to look beautiful and wear nice clothes and all. I still got a problem. I mean, I confession, but could you skip this and the teasing and whatever? I have gone on too long. I admit this is the longest one yet. No one's ever going to make it through all this one. I'd be willing to lay money. Here at the end, maybe I'll put out a phrase, and if you get all the way to this end, if you send me an email with the phrase in it, I'll send you some kind of badge. I'll send you the secret decoder ring that you'll be able to use in the next episodes to get the secret messages. I'm getting to that point where I'm going to start telling you secrets. Everybody wants to know the secrets, right? Night, night. I hope you're having good dreams, and I will talk to you in the next. Oh, strange shadows. That's all I ever got is shadows of shadows. What does a shadow of a shadow mean? When you look out at things, you tend to ignore the shadows, but they're part of the visual scene as well. And here I can play and with my face a little bit just on the shadows, like that.